Hello, everyone. We're back with another edition of the Benchwarmer Sports Podcast. It's been a couple months, but we hope that you guys haven't missed us too much. I'm Raffi, and as always, joined by Davian and at Theo Fernandez _ now.
On
Theodore has changed his name a little bit. Oh, he's a big shot now. He has his own Twitter, so make sure to follow that too. -X.
Twitter
Boys,
is
it has been a
popping
minute.
off.
We took a little bit of a vacation. It was hard for some of us to record at 5 a.m., but we're here now. We're back. We're going to get into a regular schedule once again. And boys, college football starts this weekend. NFL starts the following weekend. Hockey, basketball start in a couple months. Baseball's been going on, but it's the regular season, so we'll get to that later when we get to the postseason. Boys,
It's a weird.
how are you guys?
I'm good. I think I'm just happy to be back. We had a few podcasts we actually did record. They just like something fell through on the technical side. I think the last podcast we recorded was for the Stanley Cup Finals, and we just weren't able to post it because like a
The
technical
last
error.
uploaded video was June 1st.
Yeah.
So it is.
I mean, it's
certainly
been quite a minute, but it's been a great summer. I've been, it sucks that we weren't recording during the Olympics and we couldn't, but man, I would have talked about that days and days on end. I'm so pumped for LA 2028. And just like, I'm also hyped for the World Cup 2026. I mean, we got a new coach, which, I'm not a big fan of. We kind of just went for a big name shot instead of like really an American.
Berhalter's gone, Davian. Just be happy.
Yeah.
It's not Greg,
anything's better than as long as your name is not Greg Berhalter or Breg Gerhalter, I'm perfectly fine with it.
I want Klinsmann back. Give me Klinsmann back, bro.
Yeah.
Take me back to the good old days. He just got fired by South Korea.
Oh, really? Didn't even know that. Huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, any case, it's been fun. And I mean, my summer might have been fun, but Theodore out here has been on national television. So I'm gonna pass over to Theodore. Theodore, how's your
literally tackling guys on live television? Too.
Yep.
Hey, look, when duty calls, I'm here. Lights shine brightest. I'm here to step up. We had a little a fan tried to take over the set at Fox Sports. I was pulling up, like I was walking into the studio for some work, and I saw that man run. I had to step up, and I had to put an end to that. So, I mean, yeah, I brought that guy off set. I tackled him. Y'all check the video out. It was a fun, had to be done.
And is it true? Are the rumors true that Nick Saban reached out to you afterwards to give you a walk-on offer after seeing your form? Right,
Nick Saban's old news, bro. He ain't even a coach anymore.
That's
true.
So
in all seriousness, one quick thing I want to say about Nick Saban.
Yeah.
This man, what he's doing right now in Tuscaloosa, he created this place, the Saban Center. State-of-the-art STEM education facility for children in a really bad neighborhood in places where they'll really need it. Millions and millions of dollars being poured into this thing. I got to speak to him a few days ago, and you just hear him talk. First of all, greatest feeling in the world. I was able to ask him a question at a press conference without feeling like I was going to be executed on the spot if I messed it up. The pressure being gone, because when I spoke to him after we beat Texas A&M for football, I was sweating, bro. Like I thought that like the world was going to end if I messed up. So Saban is a chill guy now,
Nice.
but he's also doing some incredible work for people. But in DeBoer we trust.
Yeah, Kalen DeBoer, now the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. So if someone was to give an offer to Theodore to walk on, it would be him. Boys, with college football, as I said earlier, just around the corner, starting off this weekend, let's take some time on this edition of the Benchwarmer Sports Podcast to get into who we think is going to win all the conferences. We'll give our auto bids as well. So that's conference winners and then our at-large conference bid, whatever you want to call it. And then we'll also get into some teams that we think could sneak into the playoff semifinal predictions. And then lastly, our national championship and national champion. Boys, let's start off with one of the – this is so weird. No more Pac-12. I know, not to get off task real quick, but not having Power 5 right now is really, really weird. And we will certainly be messing up things at some point.
Rip
I know,
Washington
David, you have I know Davian, regardless, is going to have Oregon winning all the conferences once again, like every year. But let's start
Yeah.
off with the ACC.
Wait, hold up. I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
can we just appreciate that this man picked Oregon to win the Big 12, and they almost joined the Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, guys,
He
I
was
was
ahead of
thinking
our time.
miles ahead.
He really was
I was
ahead of the
thinking
game.
miles ahead. You guys just didn't understand. You guys clowned
We owe
on
him
me.
an apology, Raffi.
Yeah,
We
I
really
had a
do. We
magic
really
eight
do.
ball just in my head, and you guys
And you
just
know what?
really just doubted me. You know.
Next time he says that, like, oh, Rutgers will win March Madness or something crazy, we can't even troll him because who knows? It probably will happen in the future.
I mean, hey, Rutgers are
Absolutely.
winning March Madness nowadays. Like, especially this year, this is kind of their make or break a year with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper. But
That's a
we can talk
crazy
about
class.
that another day. It's a crazy class, but yeah. Okay, let's kick it off. College football, ACC. I'm gonna go with okay. I'm gonna talk about underdog real quick in Syracuse University. I'm gonna say this with Kyle McCord. They're now starting QB. Transferring from Ohio State with a new head coach. This team's a pretty big underdog, but I'm not gonna pick them to pick the ACC. Honestly, I mean, I feel like NC State can always pull off. I feel like NC State's gonna pull it off. That's my pick. I just
How
think
much
that.
Carlos for you to say that?
I just really think that NC State as a team has been just getting better year by year, and I'm gonna stop yapping, but that's my pick.
Okay, first of all, Davian, you had me going. I was like, Syracuse, underdog, potential. And then the 2 words ruined all that for you. Those 2 words, Kyle McCord. A Kyle McCord-led team is not going to go anywhere. You look at how much he held that Ohio State team back last year.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. It's like, and first of all, I do think Syracuse is building something. I think that I see
think
the
new
vision.
coach, it's a new program. It's like completely different. But yeah,
All right, and all jokes aside, like Kyle McCord for Syracuse, like, yeah, that's a solid pull.
I mean, based off what they had before, I remember I went to.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's
They
an
lost to
upgrade from what
Boston
they had.
College. This is who we're talking about here.
What year was it? I think it was like 2018 where Syracuse ended in the top 20. And then the program just fell apart since then. But yeah, they started out like undefeated and then almost took down Clemson, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're very close to taking
Yes.
that.
Yes. Yep. Because they lost it towards the end, and I was not happy about that. I do.
And then they
recall
went
that.
off the rails after that.
Yeah. But
Yes, that was it for them.
yeah. Am I crazy for saying NC State to win the ACC?
No, NC State's always a really good school, and I don't think they lost really like any big pieces to the NFL draft or to the transfer portal.
Right. That's what
I
I was
always
thinking.
think NC State. I always think of NC State as like a shoe-in to be like a top 25 team.
Yeah.
But
So the problem
personally,
One behind the couch.
they lost they lost Peyton Wilson from the team last year, who he was their top defender, but Grayson McCall as QB for NC State should be like you said, that is a great upgrade.
yeah.
Yeah.
But personally, for me, Florida State I think lost too many pieces. Clemson, are they back? I can't really say for sure. To be honest, I think Miami, they're just bound to have a good year. I'm just waiting for Miami. I feel like we've all been waiting on Miami. They keep putting together good recruiting classes year after year. And at some point, I expect it to click for Miami. So I think I'm going to go Miami this year. And I'm just going to assume that they're finally going to get things together because I think they're overrated yet underrated as well this year, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Miami was my pick last year, and you look at how good that team could have been. Mario Cristobal I don't know. I want to defend him, and
But it's hard.
honestly, he wasn't as bad as people said he was outside of the worst play call of all time. But I don't know. I agree with you. Miami is kind of a team I could have going anywhere. I'm going to go vanilla on the pick. I'm going to go Clemson. I think that people have written off Dabo way too much. I think that FSU due for a bit of a fall off this year. Yeah, I got Clemson winning the expanded ACC this season. And honestly, I just don't think this is all that good of a conference, I think Florida State finishes in second and probably doesn't even make the playoffs. It's not large. A team I want you to watch out for, though, potential third place finisher, I want SMU.
Yes, I've heard a lot about SMU.
I've heard a lot
They're
about them.
just, and here's the thing, like people aren't seeing it yet, but like SMU, I would bet money if I was allowed to bet. I'm not. I work for SEC Network, and I would never bet. I was just given a briefing. My phone's getting tracked now, by the way, by SEC Network about
Wow.
gambling.
Damn. Okay.
Like, you know how they like caught Calvin Ridley like betting on premises?
Yep.
Yes.
Like that, it would be the same thing for me. Like if I place a bet on premises, like in Bryant-Denny Stadium, like no bueno. I'm getting fired.
Yikes.
But seriously though, SMU, the money they have, the prestige of the program, the location, everything, just screams future powerhouse to me.
Yeah. I see what you mean
Moving
by that.
on, let's go hop over to the Big 12. And
Big
the Big
12.
12, I really, really like how Arizona finished the year last year. 7 straight wins. They did lose their head coach. But again, when I'm picking conference winners, or at least conference winners in conferences where I don't see a clear team where I'm like, okay, that team is clearly well and away like the best team, I really like Arizona. I like how they finished the year. They're returning a lot of their players. I think this is a really honestly 21 I think is a little low for Arizona. I expect Arizona to have a really good year this year. I'm gonna pick Utah's in the Big 12, right? I think Utah's in the Big 12.
Utah's a Big 12 school, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Utah, but just watch out for Arizona this year. I really like Arizona, so we'll see how Arizona does. But
I'm going to talk about Utah a bit more. I think that they're the ones who are going to win this conference, and I think it's simple. Cam Rising is coming back. They did fairly decent in the transfer portal. And what I mean by when we judge the transfer portal, I think a lot of it is like how many people are coming in. But I think a lot that analysts need to change is like also like who's leaving. If people are leaving the transfer portal just because you brought in 5 players, but your one key star, like your quarterback, left, doesn't mean you did well in the transfer portal. I would say you actually did pretty bad in the transfer portal. But Utah is, they don't have that story. The story is their Cam Rising came back and they did fairly well in the transfer portal. I could see Arizona easily taking this conference, but I'm going to stick with Utah for winning it, which I know is what everybody else is saying, but I'm just going to, go with the crowd. But the Colorado Boulders, I will say, the Deion Sanders-led team.
oh no, not this
I will
again.
say this. Don't
No.
count them out. Don't count them out. Okay. I'm just saying
I'm counting them.
they are on a mission this year for
A mission to
clicks
finish
and
5-7.
views. And for that reason, they are going to do everything they can to make it to the playoffs.
Why are you giving like a southern accent? Like you changed your voice to southern accent when you're
He thought he was like
Colorado.
the Paul Feinbaum of Colorado. Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're done with this conversation. Don't worry though. If they start 3-0 again, though, we'll be.
Yeah, hey, they'll be on College Game Day every single weekend again.
That was crazy. Don't get me wrong; it's a fun story, but like
It is, I hated it.
Colorado-
Wasn't it 3 weekends in a row, right?
I think it was only 2, but still, it was insane.
2, but it's still nuts. Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah. Well, I hate to do this, I really do, but we're gonna go all chalk here. I'm gonna go Utah too. I just think that Utah was one of my CFP sleepers last year, and obviously it just completely fell apart. But you've got 25-year-old Cam Rising coming back. You got Landon King back. I mean, elite tight end. I just think that, first of all, like you said, there are a bunch of solid teams, but no. I mean, there's just no one that really stands out. If Oklahoma State had even a solid QB, I'd probably place them.
They have a veteran QB who's played
Alan Bowman
since 2008
is not
for
like
Oklahoma State. He was brought in with Van Gundy.
Alan Bowman just has not getting the job done. Ollie Gordon might be a Heisman finalist. I think he's just such an insane back. But Oklahoma State, they might make the championship. If Arizona hadn't lost Jed Fish, I don't know. Just every team has so many holes. Every team has so many question marks. One of them for Utah is can they stay healthy? But you look at a
Yeah,
defense that returns 8 starters, like it's Utah's conference to lose.
it
Yeah.
really is. And Utah, I had a lot of hype for them the past couple of years, so I'm always going to be repping Utah, and I just think this year again, they are set up well to win the conference of the Big 12. Moving on, let's get into the Big 10. Big 10, I think personally, as
You already know my answer.
Mich-
Go ahead, Raffi.
it better not be Rutgers, Davian. I swear, if you try to, you better have a good argument for Rutgers. Michigan won it last year, also won the national championship. They lost so many pieces, and I don't think that they came up with enough replacements in the transfer portal and their
No.
recruiting class to where I feel comfortable picking Michigan. I'm
And they're
going to
going
go
to get
boring
fined.
this year. Yes. I'm going to go boring this year and go with the Ohio State. I am concerned. Like, Will Howard, he was solid for Kansas State last year. He was named the starter for Ohio State to start the year. We'll see how this goes. I like the experience. I like that he's played college football and also played for a Power 5 school, so I feel a little comfortable with that. But can Oregon pull it off? Yes, but I always like to steer away from first-year quarterbacks, freshman quarterbacks, or quarterbacks who don't have as much experience. So I'm going to go with Ohio State University winning the Big Ten. But if Oregon wins it, I wouldn't be shocked by that. I think it's Ohio State Oregon in the Big Ten championship, and I think Ohio State's likely going to win that. I just think they have so much more talent than everyone else this year.
Come on, Raffi. Dylan Gabriel, to me, is far and away the best QB in this conference. I think that, I don't know, Will Howard to me is, don't get me wrong, he's good. He's an upgrade over Kyle McCord, but what Dylan Gabriel did last year got so overlooked. This was a guy who was completely dominating out on the field. I really like Oregon to win the Big Ten. I feel
Oh, wow.
good about it. Let me just say this. I hate to say this after what happened on January 1st last year. You can't just write Michigan out of contention for this, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like the program, I really think that they made the perfect head coach choice because the program doesn't die with Harbaugh. Like, he built something there that Sharon Moore will be able to keep alive, I think. I just think they lost too much. They're not quite good enough this year, but Michigan, to me, is still a fringe college football playoff contender this season.
I mean, they're certainly a top 4 team, but I just don't think that. I just think they lost too much, as you just said. And you know what,
Right.
Loki,
You see some people.
I will say this because first off, I did not do too much prep work for this podcast, but I will say Dylan Gabriel, I was not familiar with your game. 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in 2023. Guy knows ball. Guy can play. So you know what? If Oregon, I would not be shocked if Oregon goes on to win the Big Ten. I'm gonna stick with Ohio State because that is who I wound up saying. But yeah, I'm gonna throw out that argument and admit that I was wrong about the whole quarterback argument that I made because Dylan Gabriel, clearly experienced guy, clearly had a really good year this past season with Oklahoma. So you know what? If Dylan Gabriel goes off this year, I would not be shocked if he has a good year for Oregon. And Oregon has very similar talent to the Ohio State University. Just Ohio State, I think, has a bit more talent. But
Yeah.
thank you for catching me on that because Dylan Gabriel, I completely forgot that he transferred to Oregon, and that changes things.
Yeah. Look, I actually knew about Dylan Gabriel for once. I actually know. I didn't know his name. I just knew that Oregon got a very experienced quarterback in the transfer portal, and for that
Davian's
reason,
only familiar with throwing arm and throwing.
yeah,
arm.
I just knew it.
See a guy
Throwing
throw
arm
football,
is
he knows
very
who he is.
good. I mean, look, I could see Ohio State winning this. I could even see Michigan pulling off something. I could see Penn State. I see those teams really finishing in the top 4: Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon. I will say Rutgers, though. We'll say Rutgers. Having improving their quarterback by getting the quarterback from Minnesota in the transfer portal does help them out. I will say. But look, at the end of the day, all jokes aside, Oregon, I think, is going to take this. They're a very, very well put together team. I think we saw that last year, and I think that what is being built at Oregon is going to be what is currently at Michigan. I just don't think Ohio State will be able to get over that hump again. And I think that they will need to make program changes really in order to actually, secure the spot, into the number one spot. For that reason, Oregon, I think, is just a much better team. I think Michigan, they've just, coaching switch. You lost your quarterback. You lost your starting running back. Well, starting running back is actually not much of an issue. Their running back core is very solid. But when you lose so many players and you lose a coach, you're gonna have a 1 year where you slump. I think top 4 is definitely what's gonna happen for them. But I can't write them off, but I can't, in good conscience, even as a very big UMich fan, go blue, say that they're gonna be finishing first in this new Big Ten. So Oregon's my pick.
Quick question before we get into the SEC. Is this a make it or break it year for Ryan Day?
It
Because
is.
we've seen the past couple of
100%.
years, they keep falling short. If Ohio State doesn't win the conference championship, and let's say they get bounced in the first round of the college football playoff, do you guys think that's enough for Ryan Day to keep his job? I think in general, if you're keeping this amount of success for this long, it's kind of dumb to look for a replacement. But I'm also of the mindset of, if you can't get, like, he consistently hasn't been able to get over the hump at this point. Just want to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
If there is somebody available, I definitely think that they make the switch. But I'm gonna hand it over to the actual college football expert here. Theodore, go ahead.
The only way I'm firing Ryan Day after this season is if Nick Saban calls them up and says, I want to take over Ohio State. I'm serious. Like, it's just, you don't fire a guy who's had that much success. I get that you want the national championship. I really do understand that. But you look at just how good Ohio State has been, seriously, if you told a Buckeyes fan that this is what they would get out of their program after losing Urban Meyer, I guarantee almost anyone would sign up for that. Like, yeah, you want the national championship, but you're getting some incredible football. You're in contention every year, If it stayed a 4-year, or if it stayed a 14 playoff, I'd say that, yeah, you're absolutely going to get a national championship eventually. Now it's just too unpredictable, with it being a 12 team to say that, yeah, they'll definitely get over the hump eventually. They may never get over the hump. But I can guarantee that, like, Ryan Day, he knows how to coach winning football. And that's not something you move on from.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Moving on, let's get into the SEC. I have Georgia. Give me Caden Beck. Carson Beck. My apologies. Georgia, solid defense all around. They're becoming a lot like Alabama, where they keep replacing their high-end talent, and they're a team that I feel is up in the Alabama category, where I'm just like, you know what? They can just keep rotating the same players. I don't care too much about who they're losing, just because they're always replacing them. And then the big thing, too, that I think very highly of, and this is absolutely true for Georgia, and you can say the same thing for Texas, who I had in the conference in the college football playoff last year in my predictions. Returning Carson Beck is very big for me. I really like Georgia. Quinn Ewers returning for Texas. This is also going to be a big year for them too. Those are my top 2 teams. I think Georgia is just a bit better defensively, so I'm going to take Georgia here, but would not be shocked if Texas pulls it off. LSU also has some very highly touted NFL draft prospects in their overall roster, and then obviously can rule out the Crimson Tide even without Nick Saban.
Well, first of all,
Dude, are you even at liberty here to speak against Alabama, like working as part of the SEC?
This is Raffi is awakened a sleeping giant, and I'm kind of offended. Seriously, like, these Georgia Alabama comparisons are starting to get on my nerves a little. We have class. We are a civilized program. 90% of our players since
it is Alabama.
Do you know how many players, what percentage of players from Georgia since 2016 have graduated? 43%. Less than half the guys who walk in that door graduate. And it's probably because most of them are killing people in car wrecks, because that is what you get out of the Georgia Bulldogs.
They are so good, they're just getting drafted right away.
No, Bama gets more people drafted. We put more people into the NFL, and our graduation rate is double Georgia. And we're not getting into 15 car wrecks every single day, you know? We know how to drive, we know how to graduate, and we are still the standard of college football. With that being said, Georgia's roster this year is kind of insane. Georgia will win the SEC. They will win the SEC. They very well may go into Tuscaloosa and beat us. They might. I don't know. But I like Georgia to win the SEC. That's all I'm going to say. The other thing, though, you can't talk about this year's SEC. First of all, bringing up LSU and not Ole Miss, it's kind of a weird, kind of a crazy statement. You know, like Ole Miss, what they do, even despite losing a top 2 back in college football in Judkins, like Jackson Dart lit it up. He was actually like this year. I already think he surpassed Matt Corral for as far as recent Ole Miss QBs go. He's just kind of amazing right now. I just think that with the transfers that Ole Miss has brought in, they could very well be playing in Atlanta. And I think that they're certainly in the mix for the college football playoff, which we'll talk about. Mizzou is another school that you look at that Brady Cook and Luther Burden connection. Insane. Like those two, just perfect QB receiver duo. And Eli Drinkwitz knows what he's doing on the sideline. That's a program that has really taken some crazy steps forward. And I like Mizzou to make some noise, but at the end of the day, it will be Georgia winning the SEC championship. We'll get to more SEC talk later when we get to the next portion of the show.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think this is the most exciting conference in college football.
It always is. It's the SEC.
It always has been, but I think like
the only conference that matters.
Right, but I think even this year, it's just so much. It's even more exciting than previous years. I feel like you have these programs that have built together. You have Bama, Georgia, LSU, Mizzou, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas A&M, like Texas, and then you have so many other teams that are fairly solid. Like you could probably count like Vanderbilt as like the only like outlier, you know. And I guess Auburn to an extent. But point being is
Thorne, bro, QB1 in Auburn, Peyton Thorne. 5-7 never looked so good. Hugh Freeze, get back to LinkedIn, buddy, because you are not the guy.
Yeah. I mean, look, my pick, I think I'm gonna go with Texas, and the reason is because I really think that what they showed last year is really going to carry over this year, and with Quinn Ewers coming back, I think, he's going to be in the Heisman race. He is in the Heisman, in the preseason of college football, like Heisman race already, being mentioned. I have Texas, taking it. But again, I don't think you could talk about this SEC without talking about Bama. Like, I don't think anybody can have that conversation in good faith. So, as always, I say, roll tide, roll tide, roll tide. But, I mean, it's going to be between Texas and Georgia, I think. And I'm just going to have to go with Texas.
Y'all want to hear a take about Texas? I think Steve Sarkisian is the most overrated coach in the nation.
What?
I think because people are talking about him like he's some kind of genius. His offensive sets, I'm not going to say they're bland, but they're nothing special. He's taking blue chip talent. He's taking insane money. He's taking possibly the best resources in college football. And yet he's turning it into winning football. He's doing what he should, There's very little about Steve Sarkisian in 2024 that actually jumps out. When you get past his reputation, and when you get past, like, oh, look what he used to do at Bama, and everyone just blindly follows this narrative that Steve Sarkisian is some kind of wizard. I think Drinkwitz is a better offensive mind right now than Sark. Look at what Drinkwitz does. I mean, if you look at, I think Dan Casey did a breakdown of the Mizzou offensive playbook, and I just think Sark is all that incredible anymore. Now, he's still a good coach. He's doing good things with Texas. He's brought stability to a program that's been lacking it for over a decade. You know? But you guys got to stop talking about him like he's this top 3, top 4, top 5 coach in the country, because I really don't think he is.
All right, so somebody clip that, and once they win it all, in down in Atlanta, we're gonna post that on TikTok. So
I do think it's valid though, but then again, I've seen plenty of coaches with all the talent, all the money, etc., be able to win absolutely nothing with all that too. So
Look, I'm
I
not
I think
trying.
two things. I think two things can be right here.
Yeah.
One, he's clearly good enough to take good talent and create a winning environment and winning football. But yes, I also can agree with the fact too that he's not like some wizard or miracle. I saw him as offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons for a year. And although the NFL is different, see Nick Saban, NFL is different than college football. He was not a great offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. So I can definitely see where you're coming from with that. He's also Armenian though, so that's my boy. So I will not be accepting any Steve Sarkisian slander, but I definitely can see your point. Let's move into our non-conference winner, so our at-large, or I guess our conference winner who's not in the Power Four winner or bye, however this works. This is so much change. Next year, this is gonna be so much better because I'll have a year under my belt. But my gosh, things are just. This is gonna be a very crazy year of college football, and I'm gonna certainly make a ton of mistakes.
There's really, Raffi, I think personally there's really not much that needs to be said here. I love the fact
No, don't say it.
I love the fact that
No.
getting a group of 5 team in. And I love the fact that, in some years there can be crazy drama, like which group of 5 team is the best. Liberty is just far and away better in my eyes
Oh, okay. Yeah.
than these other schools. I want to give you a fun pick. I want to give you something, but Liberty to me is just a program that's done so well, and they deserve. I'm really excited to watch them come into Tuscaloosa on December 16th and lose 52-3. It's gonna be awesome.
I think my top three is Liberty, Boise State. I think under the radar team, and then I wouldn't be shocked if Davian picks them. But Tulane has been really good the past couple of years, so Tulane could be a team that wins the American Conference, Athletic Conference, and potentially also puts their stamp into the college football playoff.
I'm actually gonna say Notre Dame. No, I'm kidding, Raffi. I just want to see your reaction real quick. Raffi's face went blank.
Will they classify for that bid because
Wow.
they're not a conference winner?
Yeah, no, Notre Dame and UMass both are ineligible for.
UMass is ineligible.
Yeah,
Shoot.
damn.
Yikes, man! They're gonna make it, bro.
Damn, all they needed was UMass would have been and now they can still Notre Dame can still make it as one of the at-large, but they don't have
Unfortunately,
got the auto bid.
Okay, got it. Okay, so then, yeah, I'm gonna go with Tulane. I mean, honestly, I've been a fan of this team for whatever 2-3 years now. They're clearly a program that are producing quality talent, as seen in Tajay Spears on who will be the number one running back for the Tennessee Titans. I think over the years they're going to continue to get better, but I think specifically this year, I think by winning the AAC, American Athletic Conference, I really think that they're really going to take the step forward. I could see Liberty as well. I really liked Liberty last year and kind of the run that they kind of went on. But I just don't see, I just think Tulane's the one who's going to take it.
All right, let's move into our semifinal predictions. So normally past years we had 4 college football playoff teams. Obviously this year there's 12. For the sake of time and for the sake of going through all of that, we're just going to do our top 4, followed by who we have winning the national championship. Theodore, would you like to have the first crack?
I would love to have the first crack. I think, first of all, number 1 overall seed in the country will be Georgia, and they'll make it to the Final Four. I like that to happen. Now, the other ones, it's hard to predict because, who knows what teams will be seeded where, who knows what matchups will happen when. But so Georgia's one of them. I think the number 2 will be Oregon. I just think that they are truly a very, very talented, well-coached roster, and Dan Lanning is going to get them to the semifinal. I think it'll be great to watch. So give me the Ducks. Number 3 is where I've started to have a little bit of doubt because to me, on paper, Georgia and Oregon are the 2 best teams, and there's a tiny drop off after the 2 of them, I think personally. But for my 3rd team, I think we'll have a little bit of an upset. I like Ole Miss to somehow find their way to the semifinal. I hyped them up a bunch earlier. Lane Kiffin going to get the job done. Going to get the Rebels to the semifinal. And then the other one, y'all knew it was coming. It's going to be Alabama. You're telling me, as a 4 or 5 seed, this team, I've been at fall camp every day, I've shot about 8 practices now. I just talked to Kane Womack earlier in the day. I've seen the culture. I've seen how the players are talking, how they're reacting to their coaching, how they're developing, the way they talk about each other, the way they talk about their coaches. You look at just how good of a coaching job Kalen DeBoer did at Washington. Truly incredible. I seriously think that Kirby Smart is the only coach in the country that you can say right now is undisputedly better than Kalen DeBoer. So DeBoer and Alabama in the semifinals.
All right, then. Raffi, you want to make your picks? Or
Sure, I'll go chalk. I think I have a clear top 4, and that's Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas. That's extremely boring, and college football is very chaotic, so I don't expect that Final Four to hold. But I just think that I think it's those 4 teams. I think it's Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon in a tier. Then I think Texas is on a tier similar to Alabama, Ole Miss. You have those are probably the next tier, and then the next tier you go on. You have your Penn States, you have your LSU's, you have your Utah, etc. So that's kind of how I see things, and yeah. So I'm gonna go boring here: Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas. But again, if anyone pulls it off, too, wouldn't be shocked. I am surprised they did lose. I do get why they lost to their top 2 wide receivers and quarterback, but to not see Washington in the top 25 and their head coach
Well, they have
it's a bit
nothing.
surprising.
I'm sorry. Jed Fish is a good
They
coach.
lost so much. But it just feels weird not talking about Washington this year.
It's going to be a repeat of TCU. It's going to be what we just saw happen with TCU. I hate to say it. Jed Fish, I think, is solid. I think the program can catch itself from under, its fall. But playing in this Big Ten this year with this roster, they might win 6 games. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Yeah. It's sad. Davian.
The funny thing, Raffi, is I have the same teams. I just have a different order. I have Oregon, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State. I could see easily Bama taking the spot instead of Ohio State. But I'm gonna go really bland as well. I just think that Oregon, Texas, and Georgia and Ohio State are just a whole nother tier in college football, and they will all 4 teams will at least end up in the top 10 of the college football rankings. But yeah, that's my pick. I know it's so bland, but at least we have Theodore here who's glazing Bama. Kidding, roll tide.
Not glazing, bro. I'm just telling it how it is. Jalen Milrow.
All right.
I'm serious. If Jalen Milrow can improve at all on these crossing routes, being able to make, a third read on certain plays, being able to, because his deep ball, you watch his deep ball.
His deep ball's nuts.
I feel like I'm watching Josh Allen throw the ball when he throws it deep, and I feel like I'm watching Lamar Jackson run it when he runs it.
I feel
like I'm watching Nathan Peterman on some of those medium.
I will say, and Theodore, we both kind of went through this last year. The start of Jalen Milrow's time in Alabama, from the start of the season and the end of the season last year, Jalen Milrow was a completely different player by the end of the season. The first couple games, he did not look like a college quarterback. He was he was terrible. There was talks about like him getting benched. I remember we had your whole rant too
Yeah,
a
well,
couple
he did
weeks
get
ago about
benched.
how Jalen Milroe's terrible, and for his progression during that first year, like there's potential for him to just have a runaway chance at the Heisman this upcoming
I think
year
he's
if he
winning the
can.
Heisman. I mean, seriously, you look. You got to remember, first of all, Saban's playbook. It was built around a Jalen Hurts, a Tua. Well, obviously, it changed from Hurts to Tua. It changed to Mac Jones. It changed over to Bryce Young. But you look at the complexity of some of those offenses just because of how smart Mac Jones, just because of how smart these QBs were, how great they were at making reads, at making adjustments, at being able to go through their progressions. And Milroe just still is not that guy. That's just, for all his athleticism, he's not the smartest guy to ever go behind center. And that's something that he's 1,000% working on. You see the improvement, but you also see that Saban was able to cater towards him more. And that was what Nick Saban did. And for as amazing as Saban is, he's a defensive mind, and Tommy Rees was a bad offensive coordinator. Nick Sheridan and Kalen DeBoer are going to do wonders to this guy. Like, I'm serious. You look at what DeBoer has done to his QBs, look at how good they turn out, how insane Michael Penix Jr. played. I seriously think that Jalen Milroe will be the Heisman, and it won't even be close. I mean, this guy will be putting up numbers like crazy. You look at it, we can just throw deep balls to Law all day. You know, we got Jeremy Bernard, Kobe Prentice. You just wait till Hollywood Williams breaks out and starts to actually make some noise. You know, CJ Dupree can be there for the vertical red zone threat. Like, these weapons are starting to grow on me a lot. Caleb Odom might even get himself in the rotation, freshman tight end. It's just, he has more offense than some people think. I'm still not super high on Haynes and Miller in the backfield, but hopefully they change my mind. I just seriously think that the stars are aligned for Milroe to go absolutely insane and be a top 10 pick in the 2025 NFL draft.
Wow.
I think the big thing too is if the wide receivers take a step, because I think last year too, what we saw was the wide receivers weren't really doing him any favors.
That's
So
true.
if
Well,
they're
yeah,
also taking that
a lot of
next
that
step,
was playbook stuff, and a lot of that was also just, you could tell the connection between him and Burton wasn't the best.
yeah,
And Isaiah Bond, for as hyped as he is, for as excited as Texas fans are, as amazing as, you know, the Gravedigger catch was, he's not this insane receiver. I'm sorry. Like, I think he's a late round NFL pick. I don't really think he's anything off the charts. I think Jeremy Bernard's objectively better. I think Kobe Prentice is going to play better. I think Law is going to be utilized more where he can run the deep routes like he should be. He's such a good deep threat. I seriously just think that, if anything, his weapons have improved off last year's team.
All right, let's spin around real quick before we close the show and just give our predictions of who's winning the national championship. Mine is once again cut and dry. I think Georgia's the best team in college football. I have Georgia winning the national championship.
Bam, come on. Y'all knew it was coming. I think Georgia beats us in our crib in Tuscaloosa, and it fires us up. Jalen Miller comes out there, semifinal game. We kick the Bulldogs out, and then we can have Kalen DeBoer, Dan Lanning national championship. You look at how fun those Washington, Oregon games were last year. You get the repeat there, and I just look. You've gone 3 straight years without a title, or 4 straight years rather. You know, a whole class of seniors is about to walk through is about to walk through Tuscaloosa without seeing a natty. That's unacceptable. We are the standard. College football runs through Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We have an elite QB. We have some insane freshman cornerbacks. Damani Jackson is there. He's so improved. Kane Womack's defense is gonna break people's minds. The 4-2-5 he runs with the Wolf rushing on the edge. It's just, people aren't ready for it, you know? Jaheim Otis inside, insane interior pass rush presence with Tim Keenan. We have the best interior offensive line in the country, one of the best I've seen in forever. It's just seriously like this team is so much better than anyone in the national media is given credit for. Could not be more confident when I say that Alabama will be your 2024 national champions.
I have a simple pick: Texas. I think that they're a really good team. I think that their experience is going to show in the playoffs. I believe we'll see Quinn Ewers holding up the trophy at the end of the day.
Davian
Well,
does not
on that
hate.
note, that'll do it for this edition of the Benchwarmer Sports Podcast. We hope you enjoyed. We are finally back with another video, and then we'll be back next week doing our NFL preview predictions. So be on the lookout for that as well. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, subscribe, and also follow us on TikTok, Benchwarmer_sports. We hope you enjoyed. For Theodore, for Davian, for myself, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy college football, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. See ya.
Roll Tide.
Peace.